Hola, estudiantes. I know that we've been having some difficulties with preterite versus imperfect, and that is completely normal. It's a really difficult concept because in English we only have one past tense, and in Spanish now we have two. And determining between which one to use is not often super cut and dry. So I just wanted to give you a couple of insights, and I wanted to go over a couple of assignments with you. So just a quick overview here. Preterite we use with completed actions, the beginning or end of an action, a change in feeling, or when we are interrupting an action. Whereas imperfect, it's for habitual or recurring events, for state, for time, for feelings, for simultaneous actions, in the middle of an action, or talking about an action or state with no beginning or end. All right, real quick, I just want to make sure we're all on board with the correct endings, okay? Something I've noticed for some of you in the homework is we don't always use the correct endings. So, let's do preterite real quick first here. AR endings. A, hace, o, amos, astes, aron. For ERIR, they're the same. Sorry, I'm writing at an angle here. Iste, io, imos, istes, and eron. All right, that's the preterite. Imperfect for AR, aba, abas, aba, abamos, abais, aban. And for ERIR, ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, ian. All right. So this is what we're working with. These are the endings we're working with for preterite and imperfect. So let's start putting this into action. This is an activity from last week's assignments, one of the three that I opened up for an extra week. One of the things that's hard about preterite versus imperfect is we actually have to understand everything in the sentence to then determine, is it a completed action, is it a state, is it a feeling? So let's look at the first one. Salieron cuando Erica terminar con el trabajo. They left when Erica finished with work. A completed action, okay? Preterite. Complete, all right. Tú nunca blank la clase en la escuela primaria. Okay, we're talking about escuela primaria, okay? Primary school. We're talking about a long time ago in the past. Habitually, you never missed class. Imperfect. El sábado pasado no visité a mi abuela porque mi coche no blank. My car didn't work. That's why I didn't go. Okay, this one we're talking about the state of the car. It wasn't working. Imperfect. One that I really wanted to mention that was a good, okay. Cuando supo la noticia, abuela ponerse a llorar de felicidad. Here's an example of a change in feeling, like we had mentioned before with the preterite. When she found out the news, Grandma began to cry of happiness. Something happened. The news happened. That would be considered a change in feeling. So this one we would consider preterite. Remember, we put this part in front. Okay, we put the pronoun in front before we conjugate the verb. All right. And like let's take a look at the bottom one here. De niña. When I was little, I lived in a small house. Okay? Imperfect. All right. That's just a few from the previous lesson that I just wanted to point out, kind of walk you through how to figure out which one is it, okay? Preterite or imperfect. Let's take a look at one from this week's homework. All right. Here we have several in a row, and it's all in order. And there's a couple things I especially wanted to point out with this specific activity. So, ayer yo blank. Okay, ayer, a specific time, yesterday, okay? This happened, and it's, we know exactly, this is the beginning of an action, okay? So that's going to be preterite. Now keep in mind, ir is an irregular verb. It doesn't follow those endings that I put up earlier. If you remember ir, it goes fui, fuiste, fue, etc. So, ayer yo fui a un gimnasio nuevo por primera vez. Here's another clue for you. For the first time. Allí la gente blank, blanky, blank. So we're talking about the people. Here's where it can get kind of confusing. We're talking about more than one person, but the word for people, la gente, is singular, okay? So we're going to be using the LA usted form here to talk about the people. And we're talking about simultaneous actions here. They did aerobic gymnastics, they swam, and they lifted weights. Okay? What do we do for habitual or for simultaneous actions? Imperfect. All right, let's take a look at the next one. De pequeña, when I was little. Todos los veranos, all of the summers. Things like that, the more you practice this, the more you're going to see kind of key phrases that will kind of clue you into preterite or imperfect. And speaking of that, I took a screenshot from the book. Let's see here. Come on. Oh, sorry about that. All right, I know this is kind of hard to see, but these are phrases that will bring on the imperfect almost every time. A menudo, frequently. Cada día, cada mes, cada año, cada anything. Every day, every year, every month, every Friday. Con frecuencia, a veces, de vez en cuando, muchas veces, siempre, todos los días, todos los meses, todos los veranos, for example. Those will bring on the imperfect. And here's a couple more. Mientras, almost always followed by imperfect. De repente, always followed by preterite. These are really important things to know because they will clue you in a lot of times to preterite or imperfect. So, if we go back to that, todos los veranos, we know that that's going to be imperfect here. A mí me blank. I loved it. That's a feeling. Imperfect. I want to look at number 5 for a second. This is one where, when you are talking about, so I'm doing something, with no beginning or end, like Javier is driving at 150 kilometers an hour, and then I'm interrupted. The action that has no beginning or end is going to be the imperfect, and the interrupted action is the preterite. This is a perfect example of it. Javier was driving, imperfect. When the police officer saw him, preterite. So, keep in mind that ver is irregular and will not have an accent in the LAO set form. All right. I'm going to wrap up this video, mostly because school is going to be starting here very soon, and I know that this has dragged on kind of a long time, but I hope that this gives you some more insight into preterite versus imperfect. Please feel free to email me. Please feel free to get started on this assignment earlier rather than later. I know you actually have longer to do this assignment because of spring break starting for Stevens Point, but if you get a head start on it now and you have questions, you can email me and I can provide you insight even on specific questions. If you can copy and paste if you're thinking, okay, Senorita Connor, why did I get this wrong? Thanks for listening. Thanks for your questions and for being upfront with me about what you need help on. I'm always willing to throw together a video for you. I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Adios.